Imagine Oracle Arena's roar distilled into a single heartbeat. Now imagine it silenced by the weight of what's about to drop. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash share of passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. The 2025 NBA offseason is barreling toward us like a lightning strike, and though the regular season has barely caught its breath, the Golden State Warriors are already setting the stage for a high-stakes, high-drama reshuffle that could redefine the very DNA of Dub Nation. With just 2 days left before free agency officially unfurls, whispers have escalated into a deafening roar within the Warriors front office and beyond, spotlighting one name that refuses to fade into the background: Jonathan Kuminga, the young forward. Once a beacon of raw potential and buoyed by flashes of brilliance during both the regular grind and playoff heat, especially vivid in the series against the Timberwolves, is now the centerpiece in a labyrinth of trade rumors that have taken a surprisingly tangible shape, leading us straight to the shores of South Florida, where the Miami Heat have reportedly emerged as the leading suitors. This is the first time all offseason that Kuminga's name has been tied so directly to the Heat, not by fringe reporters, but by heavy hitters like Shams Charania himself, signaling serious backstage movement after the Warriors used their 20th overall draft pick on Kasparas Jakubjan. Imagine that Kuminga's explosive upside, his combination of versatility and hunger, perfectly suited for the Heat system known for elevating athletic, multi-positional talent. This sparks intense speculation. Could Miami be the crucible in which Kuminga finally morphs into the star the Warriors envisioned, but haven't quite seen materialize? Zach Lowe's analysis slashes deeper, suggesting Miami's table is set, not for veteran reclamations like DeMar DeRozan, but for young, high-ceiling players like Kuminga, whose growth rawness outweighs the veteran's steady but limited upside. A subtle jab thrown at the Kings' unpredictable maneuvers and a clear endorsement of Miami's approach. Yet, from Golden State's vantage point, this isn't a straightforward swap. Kuminga's status as a restricted free agent limits incoming salary to about half of his new contract's value, a structural hurdle that ties the Warriors' hands in demanding top-tier return packages. Turnover candidates like Kyle Anderson, Haywood Highsmith, or the intriguingly sidelined Nikola Jokic don't quite fit the mold the Warriors need, while younger players like Haim Hawkins Jr. have failed to sustain early promise. Despite this, a creative three-team deal could unlock doors, with Moses Moody and Jakubjan potentially acting as key pieces to lure bigger fish, perhaps even teasing the tantalizing improbability of Andrew Wiggins making his way back home to the Bay Area. A redemption arc spectacle that would have Dub Nation's pulse pounding like never before. Still, how willing is Miami to part with assets hefty enough to make this dream a reality? Could the Warriors realistically envision resurrecting a Wiggins tenure that was, at best, a roller coaster despite flashes of brilliance? Meanwhile, other contenders like the Bulls and Kings hover on the periphery, their interests lukewarm, their offers if any shadowed by draft maneuvers and roster mismatches. The Bulls' promising draft pick Noah Clowney has shifted their focus, and the Kings' watchful eye hasn't escalated into serious action. This leaves Miami not just as a rumor mill favorite, but as a catalyst fully engaged in the high drama unfolding behind closed doors. So the core question isn't just if but how. How does Golden State navigate this delicate balancing act to maximize Kuminga's value without diluting it in panic trades? Kuminga's for years in the league have been a puzzle. Undeniable talent, but never a perfect fit in the Warriors' intricate system that demands precision, basketball IQ, and unyielding chemistry. Time is cruel, ticking relentlessly as Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, all Warriors of past glories, a living legends edge closer to the twilight of their collective prime. Does it make sense to gamble the final elite seasons on waiting for Kuminga to ascend into an all-star, or is the shrewder move to cut losses now? Trade the raw potential for near-immediate contributors who can keep Golden State contending for 60 wins and beyond. Rumblings suggest the front office remains split. Offers are scarce, hesitation looms. Could Kuminga stay more because the market hasn't ignited, rather than belief in a robust future with the team? That uncertain limbo threatens locker room chemistry, and awkward middle ground neither side is thrilled to occupy. On the flip side of this chaos, the Warriors have quietly been adding chess pieces to their roster puzzle through the draft, snapping up savvy second-round gems like Australian forward Alex Tahi and versatile defender Will Richard. Tahi, a seasoned NBL player, arrives battle-tested, A defending four-man capable of defending multiple positions and igniting transition plays solid, while not flashy a perfect fit for Golden State's relentless ball movement and stingy team. Defense, Richard's wingspan, defensive prowess, and shooting polish hint at a potential long-term replacement for Moses Moody, whose inconsistent performances this past season opened the door for competition. Could Richard's tactical discipline and consistency carve out a more dependable role? In the near future, the offseason battles for minutes are wide open, and Coach Steve Kerr's gun isn't aimed at anyone right now. A stark reminder that in Warriors land, no spot is guaranteed when the stakes are this high, but the draft alone won't define this chaotic season ahead. The Warriors hold key financial instruments in their arsenal, a non-taxpayer mid-level exception, a biannual exception, and a trade exception, each formatting different strategic gambits that could allow them to chase meaningful contributors like sharpshooter George Niang, or orchestrate multilateral trades that rebrand this roster for the modern NBA battleground. Meanwhile, a curious offseason signing, L.J. Cryer, a white-hot sharpshooter from Houston and Baylor national champion, arrives on an Exhibit 10 contract, blending college efficiency and senior defensive grit, a potential linchpin for the Warriors' summer squad or G League accelerator. Cryer's steady 40% three-point mark on high volume transforms him into a cerebral offensive hub, the kind who controls tempo and understands the game's nuances, not just a scorer, but an emerging floor general, bringing intrigue and depth to the fray. Yet, the most electrifying potential roster addition transcends tactics. It embodies culture, a connection in the figure of Kai Sotto, a towering, versatile Filipino prospect whose arrival could ignite a new dimension for the Warriors franchise. Pharmacologically significant beyond the court, Sotto's signing would not only reflect Golden State's commitment to global inclusivity, but also tighten their bond with an ever-fervent Filipino fanbase hungry for representation and inspiration. This is basketball as cultural diplomacy, and Sotto stands as both a symbol of hope and a bridge uniting Silicon Valley tech spirit with the Philippines' boundless passion for the game. On the court, his rim protection, rebounding prowess, and mid-range touch make him a modern big man tailor-made for Kerr's fluid, spacing-heavy scheme, able to switch defensively across multiple positions and create offensive mismatches with polished skills rare for his age and experience. His adaptability promises a seamless mesh with the Warriors' established stars, offering synergy with Steph Curry's unparalleled shooting and Draymond Green's cerebral defense and leadership mentorship that could accelerate Sotto's growth and impact immeasurably. The economic ripple effect is just as substantial. Sotto's presence would revitalize Warriors merchandising, drawing in Asian markets hungry for a hero, amplifying broadcast deals, and attracting strategic sponsorships aiming to exploit this expanded global footprint. Yet, the excitement around Sotto only magnifies the stakes surrounding Kuminga's fate, the tangible risk of a fragmented locker room, where too many young prospects vie for minutes alongside seasoned veterans, balancing the pressure of legacy and reinvention. GM Joe Dunleavy candidly expressed urgency in resolving Kuminga's contract status, acknowledging the pragmatic pressures of the modern NBA's restricted free agency maelstrom, while team owner Joe Lube's vocal backing of Kuminga injects subtle tension, the tug-of-war between preserving potential and pressing for immediate, tangible progress. Dunleavy's parting words, "At the end of the day, it's Kuminga's call," reveal the deeper reality. The player's own agency might eclipse front office strategy, highlighting that any future hinges not just on numbers or trades, but on Kuminga's willingness to embrace a defined role or seek fresh pastures. So here we stand, on the edge of unraveling or rebuilding, with the rim lights of the Chase Center flickering against whispers of transformation and turmoil. Will the Warriors find the clarity and decisiveness that defined their dynasty in the splash era, or will this offseason become the fracture point, the saga where glory began to slip through our fingers? Every move, every rumor, every whispered negotiation could be the catalyst that propels the Dubs back to the summit, or the spark that fractures the fragile harmony still clinging to the core. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing. Just writing this, caught between hope and apprehension, anticipation and dread. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, or the crack that fractures our legacy? If your heart just skipped imagining a Steph Curry deep three dropping like a dagger in crunch time, while the revamped Warriors squad storms back into title contention, get loud in those comments, let the fever pitch begin, because we're standing At the edge of a crossroads here that feels like it could tear us apart or fuse us tighter than ever. And I'm telling you, no Warriors fan can afford to blink through this next wave. Let's break it down. What the hell happens next if Jonathan Kuminga walks away? Imagine the locker room fissures if Kuminga, the kid who's been both a spark and a question mark all in one breath, jettisons the Bay in search of that elusive breakout star status in Miami or anywhere else. Does this blow a hole in the Warriors' future, or does it open a path for the vets and new blood to rally around a sharper, more proven core? Because make no mistake, the clock is absolutely ticking on the Steph Clay Draymond era. Curry dipped under 25 points per game last season with the highest usage rate he's ever shouldered, yet somehow still shook off age's creeping shadow to shoot 42% from deep. Clay, whose return from injury had Dub Nation crying tears of joy, looked like the subconscious anchor that this offense desperately needed. But can he be more than a third option anymore? And Draymond, mouthpiece, defensive brain, emotional engine, his minutes are down, but his impact remains off the charts. If Kuminga's departure clears minutes for someone like Kasper's Jakujan or the gritty Will Richard, is that the evolution Kerr wants or a desperate patch job? Moses Moody's inconsistency last year was glaring, and his confidence visibly cracked under pressure. Do we trust the draft picks or role players to fill the void in a lineup that's leaning on Steph's jaw like it's the last support beam in a burning building? What if this ends up fracturing the fragile chemistry in the locker room? Say Moody sulks, or the veterans question the front office's patience when the young guys can't deliver. The emotional fatigue in Dub Nation is real, running parallel with every transaction and whisper. Remember the We Believe days? That raw grit and underdog fire that lit up Oracle, propelling an improbable run to the second round? Or that searing moment Clay clawed his way back in 2022 against all odds, hitting 7 threes in a finals game that felt like pure defiance against fate? Those seasons were built on clarity, identity, a clear balance of star power and role excellence. Right now, the blueprint is fuzzy and the stakes are nuclear. The West is a volatile battleground filled with hungry teams. Phoenix might still have the swarming defense and dynamic Devin Booker dagger. Denver's duo of Jokic and Murray is quietly terrifying, and OKC's young core led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to evolve into a legitimate terror. The Lakers and the Mavericks sprinkled in some veteran stardom and firepower that make every game a war. Where do the Warriors slot in here if their star young talent walks? If their draft and trade gambits don't deliver immediate returns? And imagine if Andrew Wiggins really does cruise back through the Golden Gate Bridge. Call me skeptical, but a Wiggins redemption story is the stuff of soap operas, the kind that could either inject fire into the lineup or reopen old wounds. The man delivered moments of brilliance sprinkled with frustrating lapses during his time here. But could he realistically morph into the impactful two-way wing we need? Would the locker room embrace that return or shake their heads at the revolving door? Meanwhile, the prospect of Kai Sotto integrating into this roster adds a fascinating wrinkle. A Filipino icon stepping into the Warriors stable could do more than just tweak rotation minutes. It could breathe global energy and commercial hype that transcend even the Chase Center's walls. Imagine the press conferences, the merchandise, flying off shelves from Manila to San Francisco. The renewed sense of purpose that comes from being not just a basketball franchise, but a cultural and international ambassador of the sport. But there's a question underneath it all. Can Kerr pull off a seamless integration of this eclectic mix? The Warriors have always been about flow, trust, and a system that amplifies unique skill sets without turning stars into ball stoppers. What if these new faces, some raw, some recovering, don't fit the fluid pace and space ethos of Kerr's playbook? What if the personality clashes? The minute and roll jockeying spiral into tension that seeps from the locker room to the court. Joe Dunleavy's honesty that it's Kuminga's call feels like a subtle recognition that this is bigger than contracts and cap space. It's about identity and buy-in. And when a player's agency clashes with legacy ambitions, the fallout is unpredictably brutal. Owner Joe Lube's public backing of the young star hints at internal divides, which only amplify the uncertainty looming over Dub Nation. Even with mid-level exceptions and clever front office maneuvering on the table, the truth is clear. This is a make-or-break offseason, not just for individual careers, but for the Warriors' grip on the Western Conference throne. Will this be the spark that reignites their fire, or the fissure that finally cracks a dynasty feeling every bit under siege? The gridiron precision of Golden State's past, from splash artillery dominance to the fluid, cerebral chess match of Care's championship offenses. Seems a world away from the current swirling questions of promise and peril. And that's not just basketball, it's the emotional toll. The craving for something to hold onto amidst change. The desperate hope that whatever move happens next, it epitomizes Warriors' resilience, not resignation. So as the rumors swirl, the trade talks heat up, and for every intriguing signing there's a shadow of a lost opportunity. We're left holding our collective breath. This season could be a renaissance or a reckoning. For me, someone who has screamed Warriors, Warriors, since Dawkins' days, who shed tears when Clay returned from crippling injuries, and who still believes Steph can unspool moments of magic when the path seems dark. This feels like a night burning with intensity, a page turning in our shared story that demands every fiber of belief and passion. So now it's your shot, don't hold back. Flood the comments with everything you're feeling: hope, fear, excitement, skepticism. This isn't just speculation, it's our fight, our family, the squad that poured sweat and glory into our bones. Speak up, and I'm here in the trenches. With every take, every gut punch, every electric shout of desire for the next chapter in this saga. We're Warriors, and no matter what, we never surrender.